Hello everyone, Amy R here with Prairie Paper and Ink, and I am stepping in for Julie Ebersole for today's Hello Monday video for Ellen Hutson. And I of course had to use some of the brand new stamps from their November release. This is the Leading Ladies Photo Lady stamp set. And when I started my card, as always, I don't pre-plan too much. I wasn't 100% sure what I was going to create. So I pulled out all the images from the set and lined them up in my MISTI onto some Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock. This is perfect for alcohol marker blending, specifically Copics. So I've got all my images lined up here on this piece, and I spaced them because I knew I was going to die cut all of these. So I kind of made sure to space them far enough apart that I could easily die cut. And then I'm inking up all of these images with Hero Arts Intense Black ink. This is also a really good Copic friendly ink. I really like it because it's also very, very black and crisp. So I inked up my images with that, stamped them a couple times to make sure I got all of these images stamped perfectly. And then I'm going to get to coloring. I used a lot of markers to color these images. I really struggled because other designers have already, used this set and made her shirt rainbow, which you've already seen the picture. I did the same thing, but I tried really hard to go with a different color combo. I was thinking it would look so nice to do her shirt in blues and kind of neutral colors. I couldn't resist. The rainbow just got to me. So I started though with her skin. When I'm doing people images, I almost always start with the skin and then the hair. I just find it's easier to get that out of the way and the rest of the image just comes together better. I'm also backwards. When I'm coloring with Copic markers, the last couple years-ish, I've been starting with my darkest and working to the lightest, which if you are newer to alcohol ink markers, I highly recommend following what everyone else recommends and going lightest to darkest. You have more control that way. I'm just lazy and I just can't be bothered. So I've been going darkest to lightest, but it's more just so I can get that color down. But for me, it works. However, I do know if I do it properly and go lightest to darkest, you do have a lot more control and you can get a lot nicer of a blend. But I was coloring all these images, and since I had caved and decided to do rainbow, I pulled out a ton of colors. I have them all listed here on the screen on the side as I'm using them. For her little rainbow shirt, you can see where I'm like counting because I wanted to make sure I spaced the colors properly so I could fit them all on here. I kept the cameras and the little selfie stick simple. I just colored them the same color as her pants, which I was kind of thinking, black pants. So I kept those fairly simple. And then her accessories I had to do in red because I thought that would just kind of pop next to everything else. So I did reds for her accessories, and then for the shirt, this is where the color really starts to pop. So I was kind of picturing my light source kind of coming from the right, like my right. So I kind of went darkest towards the left and then working my way lighter towards the right. And like I said, I used a lot of markers. I usually put my markers in this fun little coffee cup I have on my desk after I'm done coloring with them so I can write them down. And I literally have 2 mugs sitting here just full of markers. So while I was doing her shirt, I started adding color to all the little mobile devices in this set. And the little iPhone one, I was thinking, in my head, I was kind of thinking that bokeh background. If you have an iPhone, you know what I mean. I actually have that on my phone as my background. So that's kind of how I was inspired by those colors. And then the other two, I was just adding the kind of aqua colors and the purple and just letting them kind of do their thing. And I'm only pointing it out because that's actually what ended up inspiring the rest of the card. So I've got all my colors. I went in with BV23. I used that to add the shading to her skin. And then I ended up using that to add the shadows and whatnot to all of these images as well. It's just a little bit, it's got that little purple tint that works really well for shadows. And so once I'm done all of that coloring, I went in with my Uniball white gel pen and added just little highlights here and there. It just helps make everything pop. And then decided to add polka dots to your camera bag because who wouldn't want a red polka dot camera bag? That would be so much fun. So I had to add that and then go along and add highlights. That's where it really helped with those, the cameras and the little selfie stick and that. Adding the highlights just kind of helped pull it all together and make it stand out a little bit more since it's all like one color basically. And then I did a quick tip video on this already. So I'm just going to kind of zoom over this part, but it's already on the Ellen Hutson YouTube channel and their classroom blog of how I ran all of these through my Xyron Creative Station Light. I put the dies in place first, ran that through my Creative Station Light, so it's got adhesive all on the back of it, ran that through my Big Shot machine to die cut everything. So all my images have adhesive on the back, they're just like stickers. And my original somewhat of an idea for this card was to do everything on a very white background because, you know, here I am channeling Julie and she is like the queen of clean and simple cards with so much white space and everything just pops. And I was like, I'm going to be like her. And then I totally went in a completely different direction. So yeah, those devices I colored, I loved how just the aquas and the purples worked. So that's what I did with my background. I pulled out some Bristol Smooth cardstock and some Distress Oxide inks and did some very messy blending. I didn't do it perfectly. I didn't add extra ink to really smooth it out because I was planning on liberally splattering this with water. And something I've been liking to do lately, rather than use the Distress sprayer as an actual sprayer, is I pull out the nozzle and tap it against my fingers and I get a more controlled splatter this way. Plus I just like the look of it. So I liberally splattered that with water, picked it up with my paper towel, die cut it with a MFT A2 stitched rectangle stacks die, and then ended up sponging a second smaller piece of the Bristol Smooth with the same Distress Oxide colors because I came across a little Polaroid die in my stash. It was the MFT Precious Polaroids. So I die cut that and sponged the colors, splattered it, let it dry. And then I'm stamping the sentiment from the Leading Lady set onto it that says, "You're awesome, hashtag no filter needed." So I stamped that on there. And I ran that piece and the white cardstock frame through my Xyron. So this creates your standard, you know, adhesive back sticker with the little Xyron machine. And with these sorts of things, I like to go right around the edges with my Teflon bone folder or just any small tool that will really press any of that excess adhesive against the release paper so you don't have little sticky bits sticking out. So I've got everything coated with adhesive. I ended up deciding to take the little iPhone image and it has its adhesive on the back, but I just fussy cut around the edges and removed all of the white space there. I wanted to add that to my image and make it look like she was holding it. So at first I was just going to adhere it, you know, kind of right over her hand. And then I thought I'd go the extra step and I took out a pen blade here, just a crafting blade, and carefully just went around her hand. It didn't take very long. I did fairly simple cuts. Thankfully, like the way her hand is drawn, you know, I don't have to cut around a bunch of little fingers. If it was like that, I wouldn't even have bothered. But it didn't take me very long to just cut all the way around her hand. And then that way I could lift that piece up a little bit and then slip that phone right into her hand. It just gives it that little extra, you know, finishing touch. So the phone already has adhesive on it, so I can just slip it in and press it down. And then to create my actual card front here, it all comes together so easily because I just have to peel off the backing to all these pieces and start pressing them down. So I peeled off the character first and then her little camera strap, stuck that around her neck there, and then press that onto my card front. I didn't press it down all the way yet because I knew the frame for this little Polaroid would have to kind of tuck under her. So I was able to kind of tuck that into place and then start pressing everything down. So I've got that pressed into place and then I can insert the piece that I had stamped the sentiment on. And then after I'd done that, I decided to add a little bit more of that BV23 Copic marker. I added it around the Polaroid frame as well as on the ground there, so she's not just floating in space. So that just kind of finished it off a little bit. And then I adhered all my other little elements. And like I'd said, I didn't have a plan when I started this card, but because of my slight OCD tendencies, I don't like little images like that to go to waste. So I decided to use all of them on the front of the card, and then the remaining two little cameras, I stamped a sentiment from that set on the inside of the card, and then just adhered those two remaining little camera images so that they're all used up. Plus it just worked because the inside it says, "You capture the best in me." So then I adhered that to my card base with some foam tape, and then I did another little trick that I learned from Julie. I was watching her videos the other day, and she'd used the Nouveau crystal drops that I'm absolutely obsessed with. But what I loved what she did was, rather than just apply them like I always do, is you apply them and then you tap this really firmly, like you basically slam it on your desk front and it flattens them out so they look more like enamel dots. How cool is that? Life-changing right there. Seriously, what would we do without her? Love it. So that is my totally non-Julie card for today. I had so much fun making it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. There will be links below to the Ellen Hutson Classroom blog and all the supplies used. So just check that out below if you're interested. Thank you all so much for watching. I had so much fun guesting. And hopefully I will see you guys very soon in another video. Bye.